This ain't no rag, it's a flag, old glory, red, white, and blue.
Good morning, everybody. Happy 4th of July. It is Saturday, July 4th, and you are tuned in to Second Chance Recovery channel. I'm Lefty. Thanks for coming in. Today we're going to talk about Recovery Truth number 3, and it is you can't heal what you hide. If you're new to this channel, this series is called Recovery Truths. These aren't motivational speeches or a magical formula that I've come up with. They're conversations about the realities of recovery, the lessons that I've had to learn the hard way. And some of these are going to be uncomfortable, but they're also the things that have changed my life. And I've noticed that as I've gone through and researched and done my notes. So today's Recovery Truth is one that I wish I had understood a long time ago. You can't heal what you hide. So for a long time, I thought my biggest problem was drugs, and alcohol is under that umbrella too. I thought if I could just stop using, everything else would fall into place. I couldn't have been more wrong, but there were obvious signs. The drugs were obvious, the hiding wasn't. I became an expert at hiding, right? I hid my addiction from my family, I hid it from my friends, I hid it from the people I worked with. And the person I lied to the most was probably myself. I'd tell myself that I had control. I told myself that this was the last time. I'd tell myself I wasn't hurting anyone. I'd tell myself I could quit whenever I wanted. And do those things sound familiar? Because that's what addiction does. It teaches you to build a life around these secrets. And the scary part is, after a while, those secrets don't even feel like lies anymore. They just become a part of your normal, ordinary routine, your life, You get used to pretending, manipulating, deceiving, and you get used to smiling when you're actually falling apart. And you get used to saying, I'm fine, even though everything inside you is screaming, I'm not fine. And eventually, you forget what being honest even feels like. I used to think that lying and hiding protected me from other people knowing I was a drug addict. I thought if nobody knew how bad things really were, then maybe I could fix it on my own and I wouldn't have to admit that I was a drug addict or an alcoholic. Maybe I could get my life together before anybody actually even found out. Maybe I could save myself the embarrassment, the shame, the judgment, the guilt. But looking back, hiding never really protected me. It protected my addiction. It protected the drugs and the alcohol. It actually protected the isolation. It loved convincing me that nobody would understand, and that nobody would forgive me, and that if people saw the real me, they'd probably walk away. So I stayed quiet. I took everything by myself, for myself, and I carried it inside my heart. And every day that burden in my heart, my shoulders got a little heavier. But here's something I've learned. We don't hide because we're bad people. I wasn't a bad person. I hid all that because I was scared. Because I was scared of disappointing people. I was scared of losing friendships, scared of losing relationships, scared of hearing somebody confirm the things that we've already been saying about ourselves inside our own head, right? That we're failures, we're broken, we're beyond fixing. But here's the truth, my friends. Those thoughts don't come from recovery. Those come from shame. And shame has one goal, and we talked about this yesterday, to keep you silent, to keep you addicted, to keep you in a moment of seized with drugs and alcohol, right? Can keep you stuck, and it kept me stuck, and that's honestly why that is so powerful. Because shame knows something that we often forget. It can keep you hiding, it can keep you stuck, and that's why honesty is so powerful. Not because it's easy, but because it's the first crack in the wall you've been living behind. Recovery taught me that sobriety and healing are not the same thing, and we've talked about that on the channel. Sobriety starts when you put the substance down. Healing starts when you stop pretending. And those two journeys are completely different, right? I've met people who were sober but still miserable, still angry, still resentful, still ashamed, still guilty, still carrying wounds they never allowed themselves to face. But removing the substance doesn't automatically remove the pain. Eventually, you have to meet the pain in the middle. You have to sit with it. You have to understand it. You have to stop running from it. And that's why it's so uncomfortable. There were conversations I didn't want to have with people I needed to apologize to, make amends with, mistakes that I had to own, days when I would rather have buried everything than talk about it at all. But every single time I chose honesty instead of hiding, something changed. The weight got a little lighter. Not all at once, little by little, piece by piece. The shame survives in darkness, you guys. So healing is obviously contrary, and that happens in the light. And I'm reading a book right now that talks a lot about that, and I'll share that book with you guys here once I get done with it. But being honest doesn't mean telling your story to everyone. Maybe that's not your thing. Not everyone deserves access to your pain. Not everyone has earned your trust or deserves to hear your story, but someone should know. a sponsor, a counselor, perhaps a trusted friend, someone who can remind you of the truth when your mind starts to lie to you again. And I have a couple very good friends in my life, including my brother Alex, my best friend Jeff, and those people, they are the people that I am reminded of when I need to go and get sound advice, right? Because recovery was never designed to be lived alone or happening alone. That's one of the biggest lies addiction ever sold us, is that isolation is strength. It isn't. Connection is strength. Humility is strength. Asking for help is a strength, my friends. Some of the strongest people I've ever met in my life are people who finally reached a point where they said, I can't keep doing this by myself. I need help. Instead of that being the moment they fell apart, it became the moment they started putting their lives back together. So if you're watching this today, maybe you're hiding something. Maybe it's a relapse. Maybe it's depression. Maybe you're struggling with anxiety. Maybe you're exhausted from pretending to be okay. Maybe nobody in your life has any idea what you're carrying right now. If that's you, I want you to hear me right now. You don't have to carry it alone anymore, okay? You don't have to earn the right to ask for help. You can do that. You don't have to have everything figured out before you speak up. Healing doesn't begin when you become perfect. Healing begins when you become honest. But maybe today is the day you stop pretending. Maybe today is the day you make the phone call you've been avoiding, perhaps. Maybe today is the day you tell somebody, I'm not okay, I need help. Maybe today is the day you stop protecting the very thing that is destroying your life, because your future deserves more than your silence. And if there's one thing that I hope you remember from today's recovery truth, it's this. You can't heal what you hide, okay? Bring it into the light, tell the truth, ask for help, take the mask off, because the real you, the honest you, the one who's willing to fight instead of hide, that's the person recovery has been waiting for all along. You guys, I'm Lefty. This is Second Chance Recovery Vlog, and remember, recovery isn't about perfection, it's about progress. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day.